Hey everybody, I am just sitting here waiting on Scarlett's dance class to get let out, and this year I've kind of all last year I was reading a bunch of different books and stuff that some really old that I'd had forever, never picked up, or had picked up others instead of that, and others like newer that gone through, and so did a lot of reading, the most I've ever done in a year last year, and looking to try to continue that or better that this year. And Keith, what's going on, man? Just sitting here waiting to get for Scarlett to get out of dance class here in the car. So anyways, one of the books that I hadn't gone through in a long time, it's like been over 10 years, was one of my favorite devotionals out of the favorite books, and favorite author that actually hadn't really had a whole lot come out in a long time was, if any of you recall, God Chasers. Or God Catchers, in any one of those titles, and there were several others by Tommy Tenney, and just really, really good and really spiritually challenging. And this year, I'm really getting, I guess, lit up to really pursue God's presence, and because I want everything that I have a hand in and that I'm a part of to be excellent and be completely effective for His kingdom, and that's and I've constantly been reminded and prodded that it's going to be through constantly chasing after God's presence every single day, and seeking His presence spiritually, and praying it in the Spirit, just praying normally, just seeking His face and His heart every single day. And I know that's easily to say that we do, even in the full-time ministry positions I do, and saying that we seek His His heart and face every single day. But honestly, if we're completely just transparent with ourselves, there are a lot of times during the day that through imperfection we don't. We just are who we are. So I'm going to start this. I'm gonna go through it. I don't know how often. I know it's going to be often, but I'm gonna try to go through this. But I'm just going to share with you while I go through this. It's an old The Daily Chase devotional by Tommy Tenney. It actually has pieces taken out of the book God Chasers, I believe God Catchers, and also this amazing book God's Favorite House. So good, really good. So just wanted to the first one up in this is titled "The Hammer Blows of Life Will Bend Us Godward If." And it starts out, too many of us just want to be preformed or precast in a quick and easy 1, 2, 3 revival formula. I can't give that to you. However, I can tell you that your wings of worship can be created only one way. They must be beaten into proper position and the proper image. The hammer blows of life will bend us Godward if our responses to life's challenges are right. Sometimes we respond wrongly to what life sends us. Then the adversity beats us out of position. Instead of becoming better, we become bitter. This means that our wings of worship will not be where they are supposed to be. They will be in the right place, but in the wrong position. In church, but with a wrong attitude. God intends for the hammer blows of life to move your wings of worship into position so as to create, 1, who in all things gives thanks, like it says in 1 Thessalonians 5:18. The Apostle Paul knew about this. He wrote, For to me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. He wrote these words while under Roman house arrest and awaiting the verdict of Caesar. Paul could declare, every time you hit me, all it does, it teaches me how to worship. Let me say that one more time. Paul could declare, every time you hit me, all it does is teach me how to worship. How many of us can say that statement right there? It's good stuff. His visit to the third heavens, Paul's, came while being stoned in Lystra. Just think about that. Paul's visit to the third heavens happened while he was being stoned at Lystra. Anybody want to go there now after knowing that context of that revelation? Anyways, going on, when the worshipers around the mercy seat come into their position, God can move into his position and occupy the middle ground between them. When the worshipers around the mercy seat come into their position, God can move into his position and occupy the middle ground between them. This book is so overread and so used, pages are falling out of it. The beaten gold cherubims of the Ark of the Covenant were only a poor earthly representation of the heavenly reality. Moses saw the pattern on the mount when he peeked into heaven and saw the throne room in a vision. He was instructed to recreate the heavenly vision, and it is as if the closest he could come on earth was to create solid gold cherubim that only had 2 wings. The seraphim surrounding God's true heavenly throne have 6 wings, mind you. The mercy seat on the ark was only a representation of God's true throne in the third heaven. The throne in the heavenlies isn't situated on a 2-dimensional plane, so it can't be described solely with width and height measurements. The Ark of the Covenant featured 2 cherubim mounted on the flat cover of the ark. In contrast, the scriptures describe the true throne of God as multi-dimensional and surrounded by worshipers on all sides, much like a pearl suspended in glass or the sun in the middle of our solar system. The Bible says there are 6-winged seraphim on both sides of the throne, and more above and beneath as well. These worshiping seraphim cover their faces with 2 wings, while covering their feet with 2 more wings, and flying with the 3rd pair of wings, such as in Isaiah 6:2. Even though the cherubim on the ark amounted to a cheap earthly imitation of the heavenly reality, there is still so much mystique about the ark that Hollywood producers made millions of dollars simply by talking about the lost ark in an adventure film. And you guys, most of you know which film that is. When will the church realize that God isn't looking for the lost ark? He knows where that is. He is looking for the lost worshipers so he can replace the lost glory in the earth. The mercy seat rarely, if ever, appears in the midst of religious pomp and circumstance. Under the covenant of Christ's blood, it only comes between 2 or more living sacrifices. Paul and Silas were far from the ornate temple and the synagogues of Jerusalem and Israel. They were bloodied and battered with their feet locked in stocks deep in a Philippian jail cell. Yet at their darkest hour, these men began to pray and sing to the Lord in worship and adoration. All they did was bring together their battered wings of worship, and the glory of God descended from heaven to join them there. Their worship created the mercy seat for God to come and sit between them, even in jail. So good. You may be in jail even as we read these words right now. Perhaps the circumstances of life have locked you up and thrown away the key. There is a way of escape. Worship a hole in the heavenlies. God will come down. He promised what he did for Paul and Silas, he will do for you. The sudden weight of his coming rocked the earth and shook the foundations of their prison. Not only did the weight of God's presence free his worshipers, but it also opened every door and freed every prisoner in the vicinity. Our worship can set captives free. God's visitation and power led to the salvation of the same jailer who had put the stocks on the feet of Paul and Silas, set the jailer himself free. Don't fear adversity. The cherubim were formed of beaten gold, and worshipers formed of fire-purified gold and beaten through adversity and trials in our day refract the light of God's glory in the house a lot better than quickie precast versions. Every hammer indentation, every pick, every awl mark, and every crease of transformation under pressure of pounding is another reflector for the multifaceted glory of God. When we worship in spirit and in truth, the glory of God will come. What we will experience at that point is simply a precursor of what will happen on that great day when the King of Glory personally returns to the earth for the second time. The first time he came, he carried his glory lightly because he walked in humility. He tiptoed through our world so he would not disturb his creation, much as an adult tiptoes through a child's playroom to avoid breaking the toys. The next time Jesus appears, he will be astride a horse and will come in unrestrained power and authority to repossess the entire house. When his feet touch the top of the Mount of Olives, his kabod, his weighty glory, will be so great that the Mount of Olives will literally split into two. The eastern gate will suddenly open to allow his real and final triumphant entry. The first was just the rehearsal. Next time, he will be in costume. Get that. And every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. I don't know about you, but I got some goosebumps, and man, I am encouraged. That was just the first one out of this Devo. So hope you were blessed, and man, pursue his face and pursue him through trials and tribulations, because through the hammers and the indentations of trials and pressure that is upon you in life circumstances, it helps you refract God's glory even more than cheap, non-pressured, and non-tested reflectors. So I will, for those of you, just check into the front, or you know what? I'll tell you again. So this is it's a combination Devo from Tommy Tenney. It's super old. I've had it for like probably 15 years, and it was great. I've gone through it so many times. I got pages falling out of it. And it's so good. It's got pieces from God Chasers, God Catchers, God's Favorite House. If you got any of you remember those books, super good. But it just was really calling out to me all through last year, and I was doing some other things and finished those. And so I'm kind of picking up this, amongst some other things. And just, you know what? I'll be on here sharing every single one of them, and hope it blesses somebody out there. So, hope it makes somebody hot on God's trail to pursue where he's at, not where he's been, not where he's going, but where he's at right now. And then through being where he's at, you'll go to where he's going. Amen. All right. Hope you have a blessed night. See ya.